If you're still running Windows 10 right now, your computer stopped receiving security updates 3 months ago and you're one malware attack away from losing everything. But here's what's even crazier. Over 1 billion people are in the exact same situation as you, and most of them don't even know it yet. October 14th, 2025 was the day Microsoft pulled the plug on Windows 10. No more security patches, no more protection, nothing. And the timing couldn't be worse because right now we're living through the most catastrophic hardware shortage in 30 years. RAM prices have exploded by 171%. DDR5 kits that cost $90 in May are now $400. Graphics cards are being scalped for double their retail price. And even if you had the money to upgrade, good luck finding the parts in stock. Because NAND flash memory manufacturers sold out their entire 2026 production capacity months ago. So you've got two choices. Pay Microsoft $30 per year just to keep your obsolete operating system barely secure, or spend $2,000 to $3,000 on a new computer that can run Windows 11. Except there's a third option that almost nobody's talking about. And it could save you thousands of dollars while making your current computer run faster than it ever did on Windows. And I'm going to prove to you why 2026 is legitimately the first year in history where switching to Linux is not just possible, it's actually the smartest financial move you can make. Here's the reality check nobody wants to give you. Microsoft ended Windows 10 support on October 14th, 2025. That date already passed, which means your computer is currently running an operating system that will never receive another security update. Every vulnerability discovered from that point forward stays on your machine forever. Now, before you say you'll just upgrade to Windows 11, let me hit you with 3 brutal facts that Microsoft conveniently leaves out of their marketing. Fact number 1, your computer probably can't even run Windows 11. Microsoft locked it behind requirements so strict they excluded hundreds of millions of perfectly functional machines. You need an Intel CPU from 8th generation or newer. Anything from 2016 or earlier doesn't make the cut. So that high-end Core, i7 you bought in 2016 for $1,500, Microsoft says it's trash now. AMD users need 2nd generation Ryzen or newer 1st gen Ryzen chips that were top tier just a few years ago, not supported. But here's the real kicker. You need TPM 2.0, that's Trusted Platform Module, a security chip that most pre-2016 computers don't have. And even if your CPU technically supports it, there's a good chance it's disabled in your BIOS, and the average person has zero clue how to enable it or even check if it exists. The numbers tell the whole story. As of December 2025, Windows 10 is still running on 42% of all Windows computers worldwide. That's nearly half, and it's not because people are stubborn or lazy. It's because their computers literally cannot run Windows 11 without buying entirely new hardware. Fact number 2, even if your computer meets the requirements, Microsoft is basically extorting you through their extended security update program. $30 to keep Windows 10 secure for 1 more year. And that only buys you until October 2026. After that, you're back to the same problem. $30 might sound reasonable until you realize you're paying a subscription fee just to use an operating system you already own, and it gets worse, F or businesses. Microsoft is charging $61 per device the first year, $122 the second year, $244 the third year. They're literally pricing people out of using their own computers, forcing them toward the only solution Microsoft wants you to choose: buy new hardware with Windows 11 pre-installed. Fact number 3, and this is where things get absolutely insane, the global hardware market has collapsed into complete chaos, making the idea of upgrading financially impossible for most people. I recently compiled research on what I'm calling the hardware apocalypse, and the data is genuinely shocking. DDR5 RAM 32GB kits went from $90 in May 2025 to over $400 by December. That's a 344% increase in 6 months. DDR4 RAM jumped from $80 to $240. For the same capacity in Taiwan right now, a 256 gigabyte DDR4 kit costs over $3,000 US. I'm not exaggerating. These are verified retail prices. Solid state drives followed the same trajectory. NAND flash memory prices more than doubled in 6 months. A 1 terabyte TLC chip that cost $4.80 in July 2025 now costs $10.70. Kingston publicly stated their NAND wafer prices increased 246% compared to Q1 2025, and 70% of that increase happened in just the last 60 days. The CEO of Phison, one of the world's largest SSD controller makers, confirmed on record that every single NAND manufacturer sold out their entire production capacity for 2026, completely sold out, and new production facilities won't be operational until late 2027, at the earliest. Graphics cards entered their own nightmare scenario. NVIDIA's RTX 5090 launched with an MSRP of $1,999. Right now in February 2026, if you can find one in stock, it's selling for $3,000 to $4,000. Some models are hitting $5,000. The RTX 5080, that should cost $999, consistently sells 45% above MSRP, around $1,360. When NVIDIA released Founders Edition cards in Europe on January 30th, the RTX 5090 sold out in 8 minutes for the entire continent. 8 minutes? Scalper bots are buying inventory in milliseconds. eBay and StockX show these cards consistently reselling for $4,500 to $5,200. Some listings hit $9,999, and people are actually paying it because they're desperate. Even system integrators who build pre-made PCs are getting scalped. Power GPU's CEO publicly revealed they're being charged over $3,000 just to buy RTX 5090 cards from distributors. They're not scalping customers. They're getting scalped themselves and passing the cost down. CyberPower PC, Maingear, and other major brands all announced system-wide price increases in December 2025. Maingear's CEO literally warned customers, quote, "The prices will continue to rise. Better get your new gaming PC now because this problem isn't getting any better." Let's do the math on what Microsoft is actually asking you to do. You've got a Windows 10 computer that lost security support 3 months ago. Microsoft wants you to either pay $30 annually for temporary protection that solves nothing long-term, or buy a completely new computer because yours doesn't meet Windows 11 requirements. A basic Windows 11 compatible machine with decent specs runs minimum $1,000 to $1,500 right now. If you want something with a graphics card for gaming or creative work, you're looking at $2,500 to $3,500. Easily, possibly more, depending on GPU availability, and the OSA prices are rising, not falling. Industry analysts project memory shortages lasting until late 2027. Some experts warn these shortages could persist an entire decade. Silicon Motion's CEO said on record, quote, "We're facing what has never happened before. HDD, DRAM, HBM, NAND, all in severe shortage in 2026. This is the first time in 30 years that every major hardware component is simultaneously in crisis. This is exactly where Linux becomes the game changer, and I need you to completely forget the old stereotypes. Forget thinking you need to be a programmer. Forget imagining endless command line typing. Forget the idea that it's too complicated for normal users. Because Linux in 2026 is genuinely different from anything that came before, and I can prove it with 6 specific reasons why this year is legitimately the turning point. Reason number 1, Linux runs incredibly well on old hardware. This is its massive advantage right now. It's lightweight and efficient compared to Windows, meaning your current Windows 10 machine that Microsoft says is obsolete can actually run fast ER on Linux than it ever did on Windows. People are successfully running modern Linux distributions on computers from 2010. And earlier, machines that would choke trying to run Windows 11 are handling Linux with room to spare. You don't need to spend a single dollar on new hardware. Your existing computer is perfectly fine. Reason number 2, the software gap that kept people away from Linux for decades has essentially closed for years. The biggest complaint was you couldn't run professional creative software. You couldn't get Microsoft Office, you couldn't play games. All of that has changed dramatically. Adobe alternatives like Affinity now run on Linux through compatibility projects like Affinity on Linux, DaVinci Resolve, one of the most widely used professional video editing programs in film production, has native Linux support. LibreOffice provides full Microsoft Office compatibility, and it's completely free. Google Docs works perfectly in any browser. For most people's actual workflows, Linux now handles everything they need. Gaming was the final frontier, and even that barrier fell as of 2025. Linux is a legitimate gaming platform. Valve's Steam Deck runs on Linux-based SteamOS, and that success translated directly to desktop Linux. Around 80 of the top 100 Steam games work on Linux thanks to Valve's Proton compatibility layer. This includes PlayStation exclusives that came to PC like God of War, Spider-Man, and Horizon Forbidden West, all fully playable on Linux. Many new releases ship with native Linux support. The idea that you can't game on Linux is outdated by several years. Reason number 3, Linux distributions have become incredibly user-friendly. Distros like Linux Mint, Ubuntu, and Pop! OS are designed specifically for people switching from Windows. The interfaces look familiar. Software installation happens through app stores. Just like on phones, you point and click. You don't need to touch a terminal unless you want to. Bazite is specifically tailored for gaming and designed to prevent users from accidentally breaking their system. It's honestly easier than Windows for basic tasks because there's no bloatware, no constant Microsoft account nagging, no Copilot AI being shoved in your face, No ads in the start menu, just a clean operating system that does what you tell it. Reason number 4, and this is huge, Linux is completely free forever, zero cost, no subscriptions, no extended security update fees, no forced upgrades. You install it once and you're done. Updates are free, security patches are free. You never pay Microsoft or anyone else a monthly fee. When you factor in the cost of Windows licenses, ESU programs, and forced hardware upgrades, switching to Linux could save you literally thousands of dollars over the next 5 years. That's not an exaggeration, that's basic math. Reason number 5. The hardware crisis makes Linux the only financially sane option for millions of people. This is the breakthrough moment. In normal times, you could argue that paying for Windows and buying new hardware occasionally is just the cost of using computers. But these aren't normal times. We're in the worst hardware shortage in 3 decades. With no clear end in sight, RAM prices have tripled, SSDs have doubled, GPUs are being scalped for twice their value. Manufacturers have sold out production capacity through 2027. Spending thousands on a new Windows 11 machine right now is financial insanity when your current computer can run Linux perfectly fine for free. You're not making a sacrifice, you're making the smart financial decision. Reason number 6, Windows is pushing people away with increasingly aggressive anti-consumer practices, forced Microsoft account requirements, constant Copilot AI integration that most users don't want, ads in the operating system you paid for, telemetry and data collection you can't fully disable, automatic updates that restart your computer at inconvenient times. The list goes on. Microsoft is treating Windows less like a product you own and more like a service they control. Linux gives you back that control. Your computer does exactly what you want. Nothing more, nothing less, no corporate surveillance, no forced features, no ads, just your machine working for you. PC Gamer just published an article in January 2026 titled, "I'm brave enough to say it, Linux is good now." Major tech publications are openly recommending Linux for the first time in history. This isn't fringe hobbyist stuff anymore. Mainstream tech media is acknowledging what's been obvious to people paying attention. Linux has become genuinely good, genuinely usable, genuinely viable for regular people. Multiple sources are calling 2026 the actual real year of Linux desktop, not as a meme, but as a serious prediction based on converging market forces. Windows 10 end of life affects 1 billion computers. The hardware shortage makes upgrades impossible for most people. Windows 11's strict requirements exclude hundreds of millions of machines. Linux distributions have matured to the point of being user-friendly and feature-complete. It's a perfect storm. Here's what I recommend you actually do. You don't have to completely abandon Windows if you're not ready. Start with dual booting. You can install Linux alongside Windows 10 on the same computer and choose which one to use when you start up. Try Linux Mint or Ubuntu. Spend a week actually using it for your normal tasks. Browse the web, check email, watch videos, edit documents, see how it feels. I guarantee you'll be surprised at how familiar and easy it is. If you're a gamer, try Bazite. It's designed specifically for gaming and comes pre-configured with Steam and Proton. Most of your Steam library will just work. If you're concerned about specific professional software, check if there's a native Linux version or a compatible alternative. Chances are there is. The Linux community has gotten really good at providing options for almost everything. The bottom line is this: Microsoft ended Windows 10 support 3 months ago, leaving 1 billion computers vulnerable. Upgrading to Windows 11 means buying new hardware during the worst shortage in 30 years, where prices have doubled or tripled. Linux offers a completely free alternative that runs better on your current hardware, includes most software you actually need, supports gaming through Steam, and gives you full control over your computer without subscriptions or forced updates. This isn't theoretical anymore. This isn't maybe someday. This is happening right now in 2026. The question isn't whether Linux is viable. The question is how much longer you're willing to pay Microsoft for an increasingly worse experience when there is a free alternative sitting right there. So stop everything. Seriously evaluate whether Windows is actually serving you anymore. Download a Linux distribution. Try it. You might be shocked at how much you've been missing. And if nothing else, you'll save thousands of dollars. Your wallet will thank you.